The goal of marketing is to make potential customers and clients aware of your products and services. And marketing mix is the set of strategies for doing this. People buy a product or a service because they either want it or they need it. And if you are in a competitive market, they can either buy your product or service or that of one of your competitors. As a result, marketing has a number of functions. It has to make people aware of your products and services. It has to make people want to buy your products or services. And it has to lead them with the feeling that your products and services are a little bit better than those of your competitors. There are many different ways that marketers or marketing departments in large organisations can do this. And in 1948, James Cullerton used the metaphor of marketers as being mixers of ingredients. This led his colleague, Neil Borden, to use the term marketing mix. So, marketing mix is the set of tools, actions and tactics that marketers can use to get the response that they want from the marketplace. So, what are these ingredients that make up your marketing mix? Well, it was the professor of marketing at Notre Dame University in 1960, E. Jerome McCarthy, who gave us the first articulation of the marketing mix as the 4 Ps. And his 4 Ps of marketing really caught on quickly when they were championed by one of the greats of marketing, Philip Kotler. Jerome McCarthy's original 4 Ps formulation of the marketing mix consisted of product, price, place, and promotion. Product represents the goods and the services that you offer to the marketplace, to your customers or consumers. Your product needs to serve a purpose, scratch an itch, solve a problem for them. They have to want it for one reason or another. So product covers your product development program, the way you identify what it is the market needs, how you develop the product and how you bring it to market. And it also includes your product management, how you maintain the product and service it, how you package it up. McCarthy originally thought that product should include packaging and branding, along with other things like the warranties or guarantees that you offer with it. Price is how much your customers or clients will pay for your products or services. Usually, your goal is to offer your products or services at the lowest price that you can to attract more customers. This will mean either driving down the cost of production or accepting smaller margins. However, your ultimate goal is to make as much money as possible, which might drive up the price. And let's not forget that your whole pricing strategy will also include considerations of how you want your product to appear in the marketplace. You might push the price up to make it feel just a little bit more exclusive. And also within price, we've got to think about the way that we charge for it. Any discounts, for example, that will go with the product. Place is about where your customers can access and buy your product or your services. This is partly about physical location, but now we think more in terms of delivery channel. So now, as well as the traditional high street, uptown and out of town categories, we have things like mail order, online shopping, and digital delivery. Each choice will suit some consumers more than others. Your choice is all about convenience, cachet, and the cost of delivery. And of course, place also necessarily includes how you will get your product to the place, which brings us into the whole issue of logistics, warehousing, and the whole value chain. Promotion is all about the messages and the media you will use to communicate with your potential customers to persuade them to buy your products or services. That big pile of baked beans at the front of the supermarket with a 2-for-1 offer on, that's a promotion. The messages around those baked beans being healthy for you, being economical, being tasty for your children, that's promotion. The logo on the can, the colour choices, the jingle, that's promotion. So too are advertising, direct mail, competitions and public relations. They are all promotion. And as a marketer, there is a whole other thing, the channel mix, which enables you to start thinking about which media you're going to use and how you're going to balance your message across those media. Promotion is probably the one thing people think of when they think of marketing. Now, it didn't take long, and let's face it, we all love to do it. Let's find some more P's that we can use to label aspects of the marketing process. By the 1980s, we also had physical evidence, process, people, and performance. But it didn't stop there. Let's add politics, packaging, partners, and positioning. We'll go through each of these very briefly. Physical evidence is about what people experience when they're experiencing your products and services, and it's most obvious with service industries. If you have a premises with beautiful layout, lovely furniture, smart people, great technology, that is physical evidence that supports your marketing message. But of course, beyond the physical evidence of signage and design, we also now have the online physical evidence. The branding that feeds into things like websites, email newsletters, and the apps that organizations use to promote their products and services. And hey, let's not forget social media too. Process is how you deliver your products and services. It's that whole process flow from that initial idea through design, development, testing, manufacturing, and distribution. In fact, one could call it the value chain. People are always going to be a part of the marketing mix. These are the people who represent your products or services to the consumers. They may work for you, they may work for your partners, for your suppliers, for your distributors, for your retailers. But make sure they understand your brand values, they understand your products, and so they can represent them well and effectively. Performance is about how well your product or service delivers on its promise. Now, many experts like to focus when they think of performance on productivity. But you know what? To a large extent, performance is actually about quality. When you think about how you deliver something, what's really important, efficiency or effectiveness? And of course, this is especially so with a service. Packaging is how you present your product or service at the point of sale. It's everything that the customer experiences before they get to interact directly with the product or service. And of course, packaging conveys a lot about the content of the package. It creates all sorts of emotions. That's why so many people love unboxing videos. Now, today, minimalist packaging is becoming an important part of the corporate messaging and the promotion of products. But we still see plenty of products packaged lavishly. This is a big decision to make with important messaging consequences. Politics is how we confer status and social power upon our products and services. We conduct politics through the communications campaigns that we've already discussed under promotions. But it also goes on between the organisation that is promoting the product and its stakeholders, its users, its suppliers, its partners, its regulators, and yes, the wider community and society around it. And of course, no discussion of politics in the context of marketing would be complete without at least a nod to the giant and sometimes insidious industry of corporate lobbying of our political classes. Partners support our delivery to our customers, and they leverage up our capabilities. So, one part of the marketing mix is building and maintaining and extending partner relationships. And of course, what is important is that we are able to present these partnerships as being advantageous to our end users and customers. And finally, there's positioning, which is all about how we frame our proposition within the wider range of a customer's potential needs and possible solutions. Which precise part of our market do we intend our product to serve, and how do we distinguish it from competitors in the same space? To my mind, this is the single most important of the P's that McCarthy didn't identify. Therefore, when we look at the 4 P's individually in subsequent videos, we'll also add on a video about positioning. I can't end this video about the 4 P's of the marketing mix without first turning the tables, because of course the marketing mix is about things that the organisation has to do. It takes the organisational perspective. But subsequently, other authors have had the idea of taking the customer's perspective, turning it around and changing the 4 P's into 4 C's. First came Koichi Shimizu in 1973. He put forward a formulation of commodity, or product, cost, or price, communication, or promotion, and channel, or place. Later, he expanded it to 7 to include corporation, consumer, and circumstances. Then came Robert Lauterborn in 1990. He chose a similar set, which he optimized for niche marketing. His 4 C's were customer value, or product, cost, or price, communication, or promotion, and convenience, or place. And since I've identified positioning as the most important of the missing of the 4 P's, how would I frame that with a C? Context. The marketing mix, and in particular the 4 P's, are probably the single most influential idea in modern marketing. We'll be looking at each of those 4 P's in more detail in subsequent videos. In our video on the marketing mix, the first of the 4 P's was product. And product means the goods and the services that you offer to your customers and your clients. So, this element of the marketing mix is about addressing your customers' needs, their preferences, their desires, whether they know it or not. There are 2 main differentiators between different types of products, and the first of them is the difference between consumer products or retail products and commercial or business to business or trade products on the other hand. And the second main differentiator is that between physical goods and services, which are often completely intangible. Of course, within each of these, there are a great number of variations and categories themselves, but even within these 4 main types of service or product, the principles of how we apply product in the marketing mix are consistent. So, what are the important elements of the product component of the marketing mix? Well, to me, there are 5 critical components. And the first of them is new product development, NPD. The whole process of identifying what the market wants, what the market needs, what consumers are clamoring for, and what they don't yet know that they're going to want in the future. Identifying that, developing a product through the research and development process, prototyping it, testing it, trialing it, manufacturing it, and bringing it to market. That is the NPD process. Secondly is the whole design ethic that goes with your product and the detailing and how it looks and how it feels to use, how our customers are going to experience it. Industrial and commercial design is a huge topic, but a very, very important part of the product aspect of the marketing mix. Next, we have the whole topic of product management. Now, some would argue that product management starts with the NPD process, but there is no doubt that once a product is coming to market, it is product management that brings it to market, that actually coordinates a lot of the marketing mix itself. But it also manages the product through its whole life cycle. It manages all of the processes around sales, around support, both pre-sale support and customer support after sale. And of course, it also manages the process of upgrades, enhancements, and new versions of the product. The mission of a product manager is to treat the product like a business and to optimize its value. Fourth, we have product support. And again, this could be seen as a part of the product management process, part of the role of the product manager, but product support tends to be a separate part of the business. And sometimes it's divided into pre-sales support, particularly in the business-to-business sector, and after-sales support or customer support. And let's not forget that customer support also includes the complaints process. All of this reflects on the customer's perceptions of your product and is therefore fundamentally a part of your marketing effort. And finally, you need to think about how you will package and sell your product. This includes things like branding, the quantities and the size of the packets, the different versions that you'll have of your product, whether they're sizes, colours, versions for men and women, for example, the razor industry. All of these are part of how you sell your product. But there's more. There's all the things that go with it, like instructions, websites, guarantees and warranties. And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not even going to touch upon what might or might not be the difference between a guarantee and a warranty. It's worth mentioning that packaging is sometimes identified as a separate P, but in the original McCarthy articulation of 4 Ps, he saw packaging very much as part of the product. From this, we have 4 important roles in product marketing. First, we need to identify the customer's needs, the problems they want to solve or the solutions they want to get, and to find ways to embed all of this in the product and all of the associated kind of marketing components, the price, the place, and of course, the promotions. Secondly, we have the task of identifying what segment of the market we are going to promote the product to, who are most likely to buy the product, who we can optimize our product for. Third, we need to create the customer personas or avatars, sometimes known as buyer personas, the descriptions of our ideal customers that are going to feed into all our decisions about things like functionality, packaging, and of course, messaging. And fourth, we need to carry out a competitive analysis of the marketplace to understand where our product sits in the ecosystem of its competitors. This understanding will help us to optimize things like our promotions, our pricing, and our placing of our product. All of this is about creating a product that people want and differentiating it in their mind from other competing products. Product is the right place to start our understanding of marketing mix, because without the product, there is nothing to market. In our video on marketing mix, one of the 4 Ps of marketing was price. And of course, whenever we think about a product, one of the first questions we ask is, how much? Price is the amount you charge for your product or your service. And on the face of it, it's a simple economic financial calculation, far divorced from the world of marketing. After all we need to do is know how much it costs to make the product and to sell it, add on a little margin of profit, and there's your price. Oh, if it were only that simple. Because of course there are lots of other considerations that come into our decisions around pricing, and many of them are fundamentally marketing decisions. Because pricing is about more than just cost. It's about providing an incentive for people to buy. It's about differentiating your product from other competitors. It's about creating a competitive advantage. And it can be a promotional tool. So, choosing the right pricing strategy is going to be vital for any product or service. You need to set the right tone in the marketplace. You need to attract the right customers. And of course, you have to set the ground for all sorts of promotional activities that use price as a lever. These include things like payment terms, credit terms, payment plans, bundling discounts, ad hoc or seasonal discounts, and other discount policies. As a result, economic considerations like cost and profit are only the starting place when you're considering the price. And of course, often cost and profit are a given for a marketer. You have to work with a fixed cost and a requirement for a fixed profit and still market your product effectively. So to do that, you need to think in terms of what your marketing objectives are. Is your objective, for example, to survive in the marketplace? To break into a new market? To seize control of a niche? To maximize sales? Or to maximize profit? To grow and maintain a market share? Or to eliminate a competitor? To differentiate your product on quality and perception? Or to build deep customer loyalty? And of course, you need to overlay these marketing objectives, whichever one of them is relevant to you, upon your existing competitive position in the marketplace. For example, you may be a monopoly supplier. Therefore, the market is going to be insensitive to your price. However, remember, your reputation is not. You may be a market leader looking for the opportunity to take a slightly greater profit out of your product or service. You may be a cost leader with a strategy of setting low prices to dominate the market. Or you may be a new entrant into the market using pricing to gain a foothold. You may be a niche player, in which case you'll want to set prices to exploit a very particular need or to build loyalty. Or you may have a declining brand, in which case you will use prices as a way to protect the last remnants of your sunk investment. All of this means you'll be setting a pricing strategy with an eye to what it will do for things like customer demand, customer perceptions, and the responses of your competitors. Now, I am certainly not going to go into the economics and the financials of pricing. That's way outside of the scope of this video, or indeed this course. However, I do want to look at some of the broad strategies you can take for pricing your product. Pricing strategy number one is cost plus. All we do here is we calculate our costs, all of our costs, all the way through the supply chain, and then we add an additional sum to cover our profit. Pricing strategy number two is a target profit. We set a target profit, usually in terms of a percentage markup, and then we add that to our costs. Pricing strategy three is value-based pricing. We totally ignore the cost of producing our products or delivering our services and look at how customers will value what they get, and we price accordingly. And a variant on this, of course, is to identify what perceptions we want customers to have for the value of our product and price it to drive those perceptions. Pricing strategy number 4 is competitive pricing. We ignore what our costs are to a degree, and we look at what our competitors are pricing their competitive products at, and we set our prices accordingly. Of course, we do have to be very careful when we do this, because if there is a whiff of collusion in the marketplace, then in most jurisdictions, regulators will jump in and look to prosecute. And finally, there's geographic pricing. This is all about different pricing strategies in different geographical areas or regions. This is becoming increasingly less common, or certainly less marked, simply because of the ready availability of buying products from outside of your own geography because of the web. However, shipping costs still mean that many customers are not able to buy products, or indeed services, from outside their jurisdiction, so there are still some geographic pricing strategies in play in the commercial world. Pricing products is a dark art. It is very difficult to get it right, and organisations struggle with this. There's always the fear that if you overprice products, then your market for them will collapse. If you underprice products, you'll be losing margin and therefore giving away profit. However, if you get it right, pricing is a key lever in marketing your product, and so understanding the basic principles is essential for any manager. In our video on marketing mix, one of the 4 P's of marketing was place, and that's what we'll look at in this video. Place is about where your customers can go to buy your products or services. And these days, it's about far more than just where physically they can go, whether it's on the high street, whether it's uptown, whether it's out of town. It's also about things like the use of mail order, purchasing on the web, or digital delivery of technology services. When you're considering which of these channels to use, or indeed which mix of channels to use, there are 2 primary considerations that you will have in mind. One is the convenience to your customer, which is crucial because the more convenient it is for them, the more likely it is that they will buy. But of course, you may also be concerned with making it less convenient for people whom you don't identify as your core customers, so that your core customers feel that you are addressing their needs in a very particular way. The second consideration, of course, is the cost. Now, with online delivery, costs can be very low on a unit basis, although there is an infrastructure cost. If we're looking at bricks and mortar as a channel for delivery, that increases the cost massively. And not only do you have to host the products and services in a shop, a store, or an office, you also need to deliver them to that shop or store or office. If they are physical products, you have to get them there. And so there's the whole cost of logistics to take into account when thinking about the cost of delivery. And the challenge, of course, is that sometimes these 2 things will conflict. It may be that the more convenient option for your customers is more expensive for you. That therefore increases the price to your customers or reduces your profit level. However, with online distribution of products and services, increasingly there is a degree of convergence. More convenient for your customers can be cheaper for you, and that means you can either drive down your costs or increase your profit levels. Another important consideration is the number of levels or stages in the delivery of your product or service, because each intermediary adds cost into the system. They need to take a profit, and therefore either the price of the products or goods goes up, or your profit margin needs to cut. Different stages in the distribution process, however, can do one of two things. It can either dilute the marketing message, or it can actually add value to the delivery of your product or services to the end consumer. Some distribution partners are known as value-added resellers for a reason. They add value. So the decision of whether you're going to sell directly to your customer or whether you're going to go through a system of distributors, wholesalers, retailers, or value-added resellers is fundamentally an important marketing decision. And of course, some producers opt for vertical integration. That is, they either partner closely with their whole distribution chain, or they acquire the capability to put together the whole distribution chain for themselves. Sometimes they do this by buying the companies and having them associated with their holding company. Sometimes they build them into their own company and add it to their core competence. And of course, modern e-commerce technologies make it easier than ever for organizations to sell direct to their customers. They can either build their own online platform, or they can use existing online platforms that they tailor to their own need, purchasing access to them as a software as a service contract, SaaS. Many consumers will be familiar with many of the software as a service platforms that small sellers use, platforms like Etsy or Gumroad or Sellfy. And of course, your choice of distribution intermediary is a marketing message in itself. Think about the retail industry. Some goods will only ever sell through the highest quality retailers that have a cachet. Think about premium goods like Maserati vehicles, Rolex watches, or designer clothing. They would never be seen in your neighborhood drugstore or in a big supermarket. Economy brands, on the other hand, are happy to place their products in a wider range of stores. However, the high prestige stores would never think of stocking those products alongside the premium products that almost pay to be placed on their shop floor. The same is also true in the digital world. There are digital platforms that are customized to sell different products and different types of products and different qualities of products. And therefore, the platform you choose to sell your products on also says something as a marketing message about the product. But the advantage of the online world is it's very easy for a company to sell different products on different platforms that are branded very differently, but actually feed into the same back-end systems of finance and distribution. That way, the organization can get the economies of scale it needs, but with very clear branding, messaging, and placing. In our video on the marketing mix, one of the 4 P's of marketing was promotion. And I would say that most people, when they think of marketing, what they're really thinking of is promotion. Promotion is the set of messages you give to your customers and the media you use to give those messages that are all designed to persuade your customers to consider buying your product or your service. But communication is a subtle art. Therefore, there are many components to the promotion part of your marketing mix. These include things like branding, point of sale materials, and sales promotions. Arguably, packaging is part of the promotion because it carries a message. The training for salespeople, the discounts that you use to attract people to your product, publicity and structured public relations, advertising, and now increasingly influencer marketing. And of course, as a precursor to designing all of this, you need to develop a strong buyer or customer persona for each of the potential customer groups that you have. And we have a video on customer personas for you to look at. For each communication you make as part of your promotion, you need to think about what your objectives are going to be for that communication. For example, do you want to build awareness of your product? Do you want to increase the knowledge about it? Do you want to craft the detailed perceptions that customers have of your product? Or do you want to create liking, desire, preference for your product? Do you want to move them towards a purchase? Or do you want to increase the commitment that they already have to your brand? And I do want to mention the importance of people, the people who will engage with your customers and your prospective customers. Indeed, some commentators add people to the list of 4 Ps because conveniently it begins with P. People are always in the marketing mix because people buy from people. The person we meet when we go to the store, the sales rep we meet, the installation engineer we meet, all of them represent the brand and they represent the product. And therefore an important part of your promotional activities is to make sure that those people are properly trained. How well do they serve your customers? And perhaps even more importantly, how do they behave? What are their attitudes and how do they present themselves? On the surface, customer service comes down to people implementing processes. So you need to be thinking about things like recruitment and induction, training and development, dress codes and uniforms, and how people handle inquiries and complaints. But deeper down, customer care only happens when the people in your delivery chain actually care about their customers. And this is much more about culture than it is about process. As a result, how you treat and how you train the people in your distribution chain is a vital part of the way that you promote your product or service. In our video on the marketing mix, I identified positioning as arguably the most important of the P's that Jerome McCarthy left out of his original articulation of the marketing mix of 4 P's: product, price, place, and promotion. So in this video, I want to take a deeper look at positioning. Market positioning is a strategic process. It's all about creating an image, an idea, a concept within the minds of your potential customers about your product. You could say that positioning is what you want your customers to think about your product, or at least when you want them to think about it. So positioning is about how we frame our offer within the range of our customers' needs, wants, and desires. It's the precise part of the market that your product serves, and therefore how it fits into the wider ecosystem of similar products on the market. Because nobody expects a product or a service to do everything and to serve everybody's needs. Positioning is as much about excluding stuff as it is about identifying the core of what the product is. Because what a consumer wants is a product that meets their particular needs extremely well. Let's take a look at some typical examples of big brands and their marketing positioning. Mercedes and Rolex position their products as luxury goods that confer status upon their users. Apple and Toyota position their products as trusted goods of high quality and reliability. McDonald's and Ford position their products as low-cost, dependable products that are accessible to everybody. Disney and Coca-Cola position their products as family-friendly and fun for everyone. And Google and Pearson position their products as highly reliable sources of information. We can often represent market positioning as a coordinate on a two-dimensional map that charts, on the one hand, the price of the product, and on the other axis, the quality. Typically, most products will fall on the leading diagonal. That is to say, broadly speaking, we would expect price and quality to correlate with one another. This is partly because it costs more to produce a high quality product, and partly because people expect to pay more for a high quality product, and therefore, even if the cost at source isn't particularly high, the manufacturer, the producer, the seller may choose to increase the price in order to present their product as a high quality product. Once you've determined your target positioning, every decision you make about the product, the place, the price, and the promotion needs to support and strengthen that positioning. Let's look at what that means for each of the 4 domains of the 4 Ps. For product, this means creating a differentiated product with the right balance of functionality, quality, and design. Price is about using all of the levers of pricing to put the right impression into the market so that the target customers see it as excellent value to them, but potentially excluding non-target buyers from either being able to afford it or from desiring the product in the first place. Place is about choosing the channels through which to sell your product to make it convenient for your target market to buy them. Ideally, you would expect your product to take pride of place in a channel which contains your leading competitors, but is able to still differentiate itself by having that slightly higher position on the sales floor. And finally, with promotion, every scrap of communication you put out into the market needs to support the positioning, to strengthen customers' perceptions of where your product is positioned in the marketplace. And there are 3 steps to creating a positioning strategy for your product. Step 1 is to assess the competitive market and the strengths and weaknesses and character of your product. Where will your product fit into that market? What is the niche you're going to carve out for it? Where does your product fit into the current marketplace? Who is buying it or who would buy it? Secondly, what market positioning would best match both your current organizational strategy and your desire to optimize your profitability from the product? What are the principal gaps between this target positioning and your current position in the marketplace? And third, you need to develop messaging, branding, placing, pricing, design, and everything else to support the move from your current market position to your target market positioning. And of course, you need to build a plan for how you are going to roll out these changes and how you are going to monitor your progress. Once you have a product ready to go in the marketplace or already in the marketplace, determining and building that market positioning is arguably your most important next step. Please do give us a like if you've learned from this video. I'll be creating loads more great management courses content for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of it. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.